Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. And today I'm going to talk about two things. And this is per viewer request. I had a couple of comments. One asking, his name was Douglas Brockman. He was asking how and where I display my model kits once they're completed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and that'll be really short because I just display them in two places. The other thing I'm going to talk about was another request, and I can't remember the person's name, and I couldn't find the comment, but he basically said, help! I need help organizing. How do I do it? How do you do it? How do you organize your work area? So I'll talk a little bit about that. So let me get the camera off of this mount here, and we'll take a look. All right, first up, now I've talked about this stuff before, but I don't know where the video is, and it's kind of buried, so I'll just do this new video. If you've seen it before, don't want to watch it, thanks anyway, and have a great day. But this is where I display my models, in this case and in that case. In this case, it's totally aircraft, as you can see, and one sci-fi edition. And then on the bottom there, I've got some books and stuff like that. Those will eventually come out once I get more of my hobby workroom completed. Now, these are all mine, with the exception of this one here. That's my son's. I put that in there for him so it wouldn't get dusty. But this is where I put my aircraft kits. And as you can see, I haven't built a whole lot, but I have more on the way. So now let's... this one's kind of nice. It helps keep them kind of dust free. I think they call this a lawyer's bookcase. You can open it up, and it actually does stay pretty dust free. I dusted this a few weeks ago, and it's pretty clean still, so it's kind of nice. But I have room for a couple more, maybe one more 148 scale kit there. But I'll have to clear that off on the bottom there to make room for more. But this one's kind of nice. I got this from my father-in-law, and it works pretty good. Then this one here is where I do my armor. I'm sorry about the reflection, but it's the time of day, and I can't really... I'll use my body as a shadow. This is where I keep all my armor kits, and I have them displayed in the order that I have completed them. With the exception of that one back there. I think I might have done that one after, but I'm not sure. But anyway, they're displayed in the order of completion. Starting with my first kit, this one here. It's the Tamiya the Tamiya Mobilwagen. Did that one. This one here, the Spinnwagen, and this 35mm anti-tank gun. I built those back in the 80s in my first foray, or actually my second foray into modeling. This here is from my first foray into modeling, which lasted from basically kindergarten up until junior high. That was from an Africa Corps deal, and as you can see, those are very accurate colors with that bright green uniform and a white helmet for Africa Corps. Nice. But anyway, this is where I put these. Now this was open, but I bought a piece of this acrylic and mounted it. Main reason being is we have little hands in this house, and don't want to be able to be smacking my models around. I would not be stoked. So that's where I display them. Now, I think part of the person's question was in relation to how I'm getting ready to do my King Tiger, and that's actually going to be on a base. So I'm going to have to make sure I make the base a size that will fit into my case. So there's that snag, but we'll see how that works out. So that's that. All right, so this is the work area. So I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible because it can get pretty lengthy looking at this stuff. But this is where all of the building happens. There's supplies and stuff, and then this is now my paint station. It was my son's desk, but he's going to be moving out here in a few months, and in preparations for weddings and stuff like that, he doesn't have time to do any modeling. So he may be taking the desk, but I'll replace it with another. But that will be my paint station. But let's take a look up close at what's going on over here. Okay, starting on the left here, this container here, I keep spare decals, some paint reference material, and stuff like that. This one here has old instructions, just because that's probably going to be coming out, and there's some reference materials. Then on top is where I put the box of whatever kit I'm working on, so I can keep some of the parts, and if I need to set aside, say, a large subassembly, like say the hull or a turret, I can put it in there, put the lid on, keeps it dust free. Over here I have most of my paint materials on top. My CO2 canister, 2 hoses. They used to go over here because I did all my painting here, but I've moved it over to here, and eventually I'll put a paint extractor on the back here and vent it out through the window that's here. But they have quick releases on them, so I can, you know, change whatever I need to change. Down here I have for kind of, if you watch my channel, you know I like to do a couple models at the same time. These work really good for armor. I can put it in the plastic container, set it aside, and work on something else, and then I can get it, you know, out. If I have a long-term storage project, I'll put it on the bottom. Then there I have my extra paint bottles that look like those there, and my big bag of pipettes. On the top here we have that. This is my paint pot for cleaning my airbrush. My Dremel is over there. Extra paint brushes, just an extra jar for when I need it. On here I have all of my paint fluids, lacquer, thinner, water. This is just acrylic cleaner here. I think it's the Media brand. Then I have my thinners, bottle of retarder if I ever get the crazy urge to do some acrylic work, which is usually just with paintbrush. Acrylic airbrush thinner. I keep my primers here, and yes, that's all the primers I have right now. A couple of cans of clear sprays. They're both flat. Then I have my hairspray for hairspray chipping technique stuff. A bottle of Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, which I haven't been able to use much because of the ventilation, but once I get my extractor over here, I'll be able to start using this on my Tamiya paints, hopefully. 91% alcohol, and a big bottle of odorless paint thinner. Then I have a jar of water for cleaning paint brushes when I'm hand painting things. Then I have my decal water. It's just I like it because it's got a larger mouth on it, so that works pretty good. And then a couple of bowls for cleaning water and stuff like that. Airbrush needs to go in for repair. So in the drawers, this is stuff that I don't use as much as everything else here. This is where the organization comes in for me. I like to have it handy, but out of the way if I'm not using it. So these are all my paints and additives for acrylics and such like for you know, regular paintbrush usage. And then I keep my extra Tamiya bottles over here. Keep all my custom mixes back here. These flesh colors that I've used like once and I'll probably never ever use again. And then all of my model color and a few model air paints that I use with a regular old paintbrush. And I have small bottles of, I have like Vallejo thinner, Tamiya X20, 91% alcohol, airbrush flow improver. Anything I need is pretty handy right here. In this drawer, I have my, now these paints I've had for a long time. I don't buy these anymore. But the Model Master acrylics, plus my gold enamel paint. And then on my clears here, I've got X22, which is gloss, and then the X86, which is flat. And then I also have the Model Master acrylic flat, which I really, really like. Then back here, I don't use these as much, but they are the Tamiya Surface Primer. Then I've got the Mr. Surfacer 1000 and 500 for doing whatever I need to do with that. Then I have my pipettes here that I can refill from the bag down below. And then these little mixing cups, which I got at a local grocery slash restaurant supply store. They're cheap for a big giant bag, and I use them for mixing paints. I use them for all, you know, washes, all kinds of stuff. As a matter of fact, there's a couple right there that I'm using. So that's that. Then down here is all my weathering products, washes, clay washes, acrylic washes, oils, the powder stuff here from Tamiya, pigments, and then the mud and thick and not so thick mud acrylics. And then I've got, you know, various things for doing chipping or whatever I want to do. But that is what's there. Then in here I have my putties, sprue goo, a big box of toothpicks. Got my Bondic here. I usually keep a little container of blue tack there, and then my Q-tips brand cotton buds. And that's what I've got in that drawer. Let's see what's in the back. Oh yeah, and then the other smaller Tamiya cotton bud things. And in here is various tools. I've got files in here. I've got a protractor there, circle, template, some pliers. All of my clamps are there. My milliput over there, which really should be up with my putty, as a matter of fact. My X-Acto saw, extra razor blades, a little Tamiya drill, which has come in handy, some more clamps. There's all my small saws and scribers for panel lines, stuff like that. My drill bits and pin vices, and then my circle cutter that I use for cutting circle masks, very indispensable. And down here, all my airbrush stuff. This big wrench here is what I use to take the regulator off when I have to take the tank in for replacement. A few camera things in there, my airbrush cleaning kit, and then the container for my Pache H single action. And in the bottom here, I've got my Optivisor and some, I've got an external drive for my laptop, and then some stuff for dioramas, stuff that I've never used. Alright, so that is that. Then on this side I have my laptop, which I can just bring out, put on the desktop to do any video stuff or whatever I need. This stuff in here is a mess. This is the next thing that's going to get cleaned out. This is some small parts and a lot of extra photo etch and stuff like that. This is where all my plastics are, along with a few parts. This really needs to be reorganized. Spare parts, spare body parts for figures, which, you know, if you watch my channel much, you know I don't do much in the way of figures yet. Then we got some stuff. This is mostly tracks here, and then extra model parts of various descriptions. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Here, this is a big newsprint sketch pad that I use to put on the surface whenever I'm painting. It was over here. It's nice because you can lap it up, and I use these to kind of tack it to this so it creates a barrier so it's not oversprays and getting all over everything. This is my portable building board. It's just a cheap drawing board that if I want to go build in another room, I can just throw the stuff on there, take it in there, and I'm in with the rest of the family while I'm building models and hanging out. Cleaning rags, buy them by the box. They're great. They're like heavy-duty paper towels. A little trash can. And there is a bag of peg hooks, and I'll show you what those are for in a minute. Then we get up here. This is where I keep a lot of my smaller stuff. All of my sanding sticks, these little applicator dot brush kind of things, extra blades for one of my knives, all my pens and pencils. I have this little tube full of poly caps for Tamiya and other kits. These I generally use for putting skewering wheels on, for painting. Got a tape measure if I need it. These little skewer type sticks I use for different things. I use these for doing wheels as well. Pencil sharpener to keep my pencil sharp. Right here is just the little small deal I use for putting small sub-assemblies, or say when I build all my wheels, and until I paint them, I store them inside of here so nothing gets lost. Then in here I got a lighter for whatever I need it for. More sanding stuff here. A notebook for whatever I need. Some correspondence from various modeling friends. And that completes what's underneath. So as for the work area itself, I've got two, I recently flipped them upside down because the tops were getting pretty nasty, but two self-healing cutting mats. This is where I do all the modeling. Got some spare stuff up there. These, I use these for whatever custom colors or mixes I've made for a particular kit. In this case, this is supposed to be like a creme of ice, or however you pronounce it, and red oxide primer. And then this is some clear I mixed up because I mixed it up with my X20, so it's just ready to go. Just some drops, spray what I needed, and I'm done. These are mineral spirits. One's really dirty that I use for initial cleaning. This one is kind of an intermediate, like if I'm still painting, and then when I want to clean my brush and put it aside, this is for final cleaning. Control for my light, and then all of my brushes, and I have those divided up as well. These I use for mixing paints, you know, in the color cup or whatever, or helping to clean my color cup out. Pipettes, some of them are labeled. I use this one for X20 thinner all the time. This one right here I use for odorless mineral spirits for making washes. And I have my actual paint brushes. I do have more paint brushes over there, and my really nice ones are in one of these drawers. Then these are for doing washes of different types, pen washes, filters, sludge washes, whatever. These here are for applying decal fluids or cement if I need a longer brush. These are used for like dry brushing and kind of scrubby tough work, as you can tell by the ends. These are for dried pigments. I like having a variety of sizes for doing different things. Then I've got, these are I use for the mud effects, the pre-mixed mud effects, or I use these to mix up my own using pigments and acrylic washes, or pigment binder. These are my brushes that I use for the hairspray chipping technique because they're real rigid bristles, and they work really good for that. This is a dusting brush. This is for cleaning various things, pliers. This indispensable item for finding plastic parts on the carpet before they get gobbled up completely. And then my two Tamiya platforms. That's my wife. It's an older picture, but that's my wife. Love her. Then we have the paint stuff. These two paint displays I got from, before I go on, this is my contraption for my camera. It's fully movable, articulating. Use this straight on for doing the mug shots. Then I can tilt it up like that to get different angles. You know, I get down low if need be, whatever. I've got a cable to keep my phone charged up while I'm doing video work that connects over there. So that is that. Okay, these two things here are actually silverware or utensil organizers for kitchen drawers. I cut the ends off, which, you know, kind of face this way on the end. I cut those off, put them on top, and these are the perfect size for Tamiya paints. They cost me like $7 or $8 at a local store, and they work like a champ. Down here I keep, again, the colors that I'm using right now for a particular project. It's kind of a staging area, I guess you call it. Then some more custom colors here. Mixing cups if I need to mix colors or if I make a wash or whatever. Up top here, I've got my PVA glue. I've got my decal solutions, lacquer thinner for the really tough jobs of cleaning a brush or something like that. Odorless mineral spirits that I just refilled that bottle with the big bottle there. I've got my super glues, my thick PVA glue, the ever popular Tamiya Extra Thin, the not as popular but I still love it, Testors liquid cement, Testors clear like canopy cement type stuff, and then this liquid cement by Model Master, which is a Testors product. It's thicker and it's about the equivalent of, say, a Revell Contacta, and it has its applications. I find it to be indispensable. Then over here we have some clamps, a cat, scissors for cutting decals and masking tape, paint mixer, scissors for big jobs, caliper. Now I use this quite a bit because I use it for making circular masks. I can measure stuff, and then using my circle cutter here, I can cut masks for wheels or any other round thing. So it's really kind of cool. Then we have some tools. I'll start on the side over here. These are my utility tapes. I use these for taping stuff down. I use it for sticking parts to, for spraying. I rarely use it for masking unless it's for a really big area. Generally for the actual masking edges, I use the Tamiya tape, and I have the larger size, which is the 18 millimeter, and then the 6 millimeter, and then I have their thin bendable vinyl stuff. That's what I use for doing the edges. But over here I have it's like a surgical knife, scalpel, whatever you want to call it. Really nice photo etch cutter, photo etch bender right there. I can hold parts. It's also very good for helping sand or file the little part left over after you cut a photo etch part. Just clamp it in there with just barely a little bit sticking out, then I can file or sand it down without bending the part. Scary 3D bat. Came off a Kleenex box. Hope I didn't scare you guys. Then up here we have, I use this for metal stuff. These cutters are for metal, wire, whatever. These are for rough cutting plastic. 2 scales for measuring and using a straight edges. Tweezers of different types, self-clamping type right there. And then these are kind of utility. I use them for stuff. I don't care if they get messed up. Those 2 little things there are for cleaning the nozzles out on these and sometimes these. Those are my photo etch, my super glue applicators for photo etch. I basically took a needle, attached them to these sprue, these pieces of styrene sprue, and cut the top of the head of the needle off, so it just left kind of U-shaped. Works pretty good. Extra blades of various types. That is the wrench for disassembling my Pache single action airbrush for taking out the nozzle part for cleaning. A couple of these metal stir sticks from Tamiya, and I've got quite a few more of these, but they're currently holding wheels. But I use these for holding parts for spraying. So if you remember, I mentioned the bag of pegboard hooks. They are for hanging parts trees in these big blank spots on my pegboard. Now, I usually do them in order. You know, if they're labeled like A, B, C, whatever, I'll do them in alphabetical order. And as I need stuff, I just pull it off, cut the parts out, I hang it back up. And it works really good. It keeps it organized. I try and keep the letters down here. Some of them I've already cut off parts I didn't need. And these aren't in alphabetical order right now. I just hung them up for display purposes. But it makes everything real easy to find. And if there's more than what fit on here, I try and hang them up according to what is being built at a given time in the build sequence on the instructions. So basically what I've done here, and this is to answer the person's question, I have everything out that I use almost all the time. Okay, all this stuff here gets used almost all the time when I'm building a model. The stuff in here gets used not as much, so it's better to have it out of the way and the things that I use all the time out here handy, because all of this stuff is stuff I use on every single build. It doesn't matter if it's armor, if it's aircraft, whatever. I use all this stuff, so I like to have it all handy and ready to go. So hopefully that answers that, all of that blabbing. Hopefully that answers that person's question. Now, one more thing that I have here that it's kind of a recent addition is this photo box. Okay, you can see it's curved down at the bottom, so if I was taking a photo, I would have the model here and that up there. And then that right there is my diffused light, LED light, and it's really high tech, because what I do is I set the box here, I hold that lamp in my hand just below the camera, I kind of monkey it around and line it up, and whack, take the picture. Really high tech, gotta love it. But basically that's it. The only thing that's going to be changing is that my paint station will be over here, and so I can hop over here, do any painting, come back over here, do what I need to do here, and I won't have to worry about, you know, moving stuff, putting my paint stuff in, getting that done, moving that, and getting my parts back over. I'll have two stations to do two different types of tasks. So that is my work area. So there you have it. Now I know I've done workstation videos before. One of them's way back and it was in a totally different part of the house, so it's totally changed. I did one of this area, but it wasn't as refined as it is now, and I didn't have the paint station going on over here. So it's a little bit different. You know, again, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching it. This is mainly for the newer people, but hopefully it will give you, if you need it, it will give you ideas on how to organize your stuff. Just kind of, and the person who asked, I'm sorry I can't remember your name, I hope you're watching this video, but hopefully it'll give you some ideas on how you can take the space that you have, because this space really isn't that big. This room is very, very small, and you know, my desk is really shallow compared to some, but it is wide enough. But it's a matter of, you know, it's like building in the city. You know, it's not like in a rural area where you can just build and spread stuff out everywhere. In the city, you got to think about using the space more. Got to build up sometimes. Hence my my parts, all my sprues hanging on hooks when I build the model. But everything's right here handy. I don't have to get up to go do things, anything like that. Everything is right here. So it's kind of cool. I really like how my work area has developed over time. You know, I feel like I've got it to a point. Now, there's always going to be fine-tuning. My wife just yesterday, because I deep cleaned this room really well. I fixed this display over here. I lowered it, and I vacuumed everything really well, because this area is really dusty where I live. But my wife came in and she was kind of laughing. She says, "Well, didn't you just do this, you know, a month ago or a couple of weeks ago. I said, yeah, but you know, it wasn't quite the way I wanted it. That was just temporary. So this one's a little more gonna stay, I think. But there's always fine tuning as you build. The more you build, the more you find that you use certain things. Especially if you get new things, it might replace some old things, replace them, switch them around, get everything organized. But having everything handy within easy reach, for me, is the most important thing. I don't want to have to be getting up, going across the room to get stuff. You know, it's just I like it all like it is. Now, eventually, when we move, and we are going to be moving, but it's going to be in the not too distant future. But we won't have carpet. We're going without carpet. Don't like carpet. It's good in bedrooms, I guess, but the rest of the house ain't gonna have carpet. So I have a hard floor. So the nice thing is when I'm working in one area, like on my models, doing building stuff, and I want to go over to paint, I really won't have to get up. It's not because I'm lazy. It's just I'm a person that I like, you know, efficiency, and just the less movement and the less things you have to do, the more proficient you'll be, or efficient, I should say. So I'll just be able to roll over to the other desk, do my thing, and then I can roll back over here. As it is, I gotta get up and move over. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those little things, though, that you can improve the efficiency, because we're all strapped for time. Well, most of us are. And you don't want to be wasting time by having to get up and go over there and get that, or having to root around and dig for something. I can't find this, blah, blah. You know, have it all handy and organized, and you'll be good to go. So hopefully you found this informative and somewhat entertaining, useful, whatever. If not, you know, sorry. I'll have my next video will be actually about models. But that's it. That's a quick workstation and display area, which is in that part of the house, tour. So hopefully people that ask those questions, if you watch this, I hope it was helpful. As always, you know, if you have any hints, tips, comments, suggestions, gripes even, put them in the comments section down below, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. So that's it for now on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.